I say to you that there is in operation at the present time a conspiracy to sell, and I use the word sell advisedly, this country to the Dominion of Canada.
Today, I share the story of Little Bay Islands, a Newfoundland outport in Notre Dame Bay that faced a crushing government ultimatum. A tale of loss, division, and the devastating cost of policies that seem less like coincidences and more like a calculated betrayal of our coastal communities. Picture a small island, once home to 300 souls, nestled along Newfoundland's rugged coast. Little Bay Islands thrived on the cod fishery, with families fishing, gardening, and gathering at the wharf to share stories. The seeds of its demise were sown in the 1980s, when the Canadian government failed to police Newfoundland's waters against rampant foreign overfishing. This negligence gutted cod stocks, leading to the 1992 cod moratorium that shattered the local economy. By the 2000s, the island's population had dwindled to under 100, its school, clinic, and ferry hanging on by a thread. That's when the government stepped in, not to rebuild, but to deliver an ultimatum that tore the community apart. In the 2010s, Newfoundland and Labrador's community relocation policy put Little Bay Islands in an impossible position. The government didn't force residents to leave outright, but they made it clear, with only 71 people by 2016, maintaining the ferry, electricity, and school was unsustainable. They offered up to $270,000 per household to relocate to towns like Springdale or Lewisport, but only if 90% of the community agreed. Without that, services could be cut, leaving the island unlivable. It was a choice that wasn't a choice. Move or face a future without power or transport. The Department of Municipal Affairs later estimated the relocation would save $20 million over 20 years. A chilling echo of the government's earlier savings from failing to police the fisheries. A move that cost Newfoundland its cod and triggered the mass exodus of dozens of coastal communities, including Little Bay Islands. This policy fractured the tight-knit community, turning neighbor against neighbor. Some, lured by the payout, saw relocation as a path to better schools and healthcare. Others, fiercely protective of their heritage, fought for preservation, their homes steeped in generations of memories. The division was bitter. Lifelong friends became adversaries. Families split over money versus place. Ray Flynn, who served on the town council for 5 years, felt betrayed. Even though we're paying taxes and own our property there, we're not allowed to have a say. His partner, Doris Tucker, born on the island in 1939, added, "I felt insulted. I went to school there. I worked there." Juanita and Gord Hull, who left in 2016 after 68 years for Gord's healthcare needs following a 2003 stroke, were denied a vote and payout, despite still owning property. "I was hurt, and I thought I was discriminated against," Juanita said, noting others won appeals while she couldn't afford a lawyer. "There's bad feelings," she added, echoing the resentment of those excluded. In 2016, the community voted, and tensions boiled over. The vote fell short at 89.47%, just below the 90% threshold, deepening the rift between those seeking the payout and those holding out. In early 2017, the town council sent 76 expressions of interest ballots to restart the process, with 55 residents deemed permanent by the Department of Municipal Affairs, all voting for resettlement. The government held firm, and by 2019, they lowered the threshold to 75%, and a second vote passed with 93% in favor. But for many, it felt like coercion. The government would cut the ferry and power after resettlement, leaving households with no real option. By December 31st, 2019, Little Bay Islands was abandoned, its streets empty, its homes dark. The pattern feels eerily familiar. In the 1950s and 60s, Premier Joey Smallwood's resettlement program uprooted thousands from outports to growth centres, promising progress, but often delivering hardship. The failure to protect cod stocks, followed by incentivized relocations, suggests a chilling continuity. A government saving money by abandoning rural Newfoundland, as if the erosion of our outports was planned all along. Families lost not just houses, but their way of life. Elderly residents like Juanita and Gord, who moved to Springdale for healthcare, struggled in new towns, missing their fractured community. Juanita recalled Gord's decline. First, we used to go for a walk. Now it's only just from A to B. The promised jobs and housing often fell short. CBC captured the final days, boarded windows, a silent wharf, a cemetery left to the wind. A few stayed off-grid, defiant, but the island's heart was gone. For generations, Little Bay Island stood as a testament to the power of unity, its people bound by shared labor, stories, and resilience against the harsh Atlantic. Neighbors helped neighbors, from hauling nets to rebuilding after storms, forging a community stronger than the sum of its parts. But when the government's relocation policy sowed division, pitting payout seekers against preservationists, that unity crumbled. The interference shattered the bonds that built Little Bay Islands, leaving it to fade into memory. This loss teaches us the profound value of a unified people. When we stand together, we thrive. When divided, we fall, our heritage slipping away like the tide that once sustained us. Little Bay Islands, etched in the memories of our people and chronicled in CBC's haunting reports and books like The Last Days of Little Bay Islands, stands as a raw wound in Newfoundland's soul. The government's policies didn't just displace a community. They sowed discord, pitted neighbor against neighbor, and continued a decades-long erasure of our outports, begun under Smallwood and perpetuated through neglect and calculated savings. With every abandoned wharf and silent cemetery, we lose not just homes, but the stories, the laughter, and the salt-worn spirit of Newfoundland itself, left to fade into the sea that once gave it life.